right, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, July 17th at 9 a.m. Mike, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And this morning for our morning prayer, we have Stephen Goodell, Public Safety Chaplain.
Well, good morning to you all. It's always an honor. I got to pray for this accord and for all the business before it. Would you join me in prayer? Lord our God, you never promised us that this world would be easy, and yet all of us can look ahead up to the city that's set on a hill, to the lights that call us to eternity, and we take hope. In a reading from Lamentations 3, the Lord's love never ends. His mercies never stop. They are new every morning. Lord, your loyalty is great. I say to myself, the Lord is mine, so I hope in him. The Lord is good to those who hope in him, to those who seek him. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
You guys have a good court.
Thanks so much, Steve. All right, is there any public comments this morning? Anybody on the internet? Okay, any questions on the consent agenda?
Yes, I know this is an inconvenience, but on the personnel action, which would be item number 2, I would like to temporarily pull the Jake, I'm not sure how to say his name, Zap thing. I would like to pull it, and it's just in regards to, I need to get more clarity, and you're just gonna have to trust me on this one, I guess.
What do you think, Ryan?
She has some concerns, wants to pull
Yes.
it or have a discussion. That's
Yes, I have some concerns and I'm having a discussion, and this is just a temporary thing. I'm the one that pushed for this position. I'm the one that felt the county needed this position, but I feel that this is just maybe a little premature. So I'd like to just pull that one personnel action for. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'd like to just pull this one personnel action form. This is nothing to do, this is nothing to do with him as a person. This is totally a business thing.
Sure.
So I make a motion to pull Jake Sapp from the number 2 on the consent agenda of approving personnel action forms.
you have to make a motion, or can she just pull?
I don't know.
Pull a minus.
I think you would, yeah. You just,
Okay, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of personnel action form for Jake Zapp.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Tim, budget clarification.
Morning.
Morning.
To boot, this topic representing the Agricultural Extension Service District and presentation budget adoption information for the 24-25 fiscal year. It was brought to my attention that the LB1 that was published in the newspaper in 2 items did not disclose the capital expenditure of $100,000 and the county's internal service fee of $38,000. The total budget, as you have before you and the information that was shared, the $900,000 does though represent those 2 items. In the budget message and budget information that was prepared and presented to the budget committee, and the information that was presented to you on the 20th of June, did disclose and fully illustrate those two items. And so it's the LB one that was incorrect. It's my job to disclose that inconsistency to you. As far as I can tell, that's the only action necessary. If there's other action, it's not simple, but simple process of supplemental budgeting sometime in the next couple of months would also satisfy sort of the public notice information about those two items. But the budget numbers you approved on the 20th are exactly the same numbers that were presented and adopted, or you adopted them. They were approved by the Budget Committee of May 22nd.
So Eric, we passed order number 2024-32, which was adopting this budget. So how do we go about? There's no action, or?
I'm afraid this is beyond my expertise. I might have to.
Do you have an answer for that, Tim? As
Well, so
how-
Jamie's recommendation from the county's perspective was to disclose it to you, and that was the only thing she could see in budget law that was required.
Okay, which I read, I just didn't know if we needed a more formal
Like I said, the
decision.
if you were more comfortable with the supplemental budgeting process, you know, that's a viable option that, but nothing's gonna change.
Doesn't sound like
You
it's
had-
required, so.
It's not required, and you had all the information in front of you. The public, in the public notices and public meeting associated with the budget hearing, May 22nd, disclosed that anyone who wanted to see details of the budget could stop by the extension office and pick up that paperwork. No one did, but that paperwork, again, same paperwork that went to the Budget Committee and to you, shows those two expenditures and the same dollar amounts that you approved on June 20th.
Okay, so this is kind of an informational. We don't need to make any adjustment to the order or anything.
Nope,
Okay.
the order is correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Great,
you.
thanks, Tim. Next,
You want me to stand up and sit back down?
would you?
All right, so before you is a draft letter for the commission to respond to the Forest Service and rejecting their draft resolution to the objection that was submitted back in May. The county little history, the Mill Creek vegetation management plan by the Forest Service has been an ongoing planning process for about the last 4 or 5 years. The county and its representatives have participated in numerous field trips, public meetings, and presentations by the Forest Service to the county's Natural Resource Committee over that time. Back in the fall, the county participated in responding to the draft EA for that management plan and supported the alternative 3 that would have done a significant amount of work in the Mill Creek area for the purpose of forest health, wildfire risk reduction, and many other outcomes. This spring, the forest issued a draft decision notice that chose a less aggressive approach to dealing with some the vegetation issues, primarily the tree density, harvesting, thinning. The county in early May filed an objection to that decision, feeling that the stated purpose and needs of the EA and the planning project were not going to be met by the acceptance of that lesser treatment. The forest held an objection hearing of all the objectors. There were 7 of us in the room at the same time in late June, where the Forest Service heard really was an overview of each of the objectors' issues. Late last week, Wednesday of last week, Shane Jeffries, the forest supervisor, issued a draft objection resolution to all of the objectors, seeking either acceptance or a denial of that draft resolution. Last Monday, the 15th of this week, I informed Forest Supervisor Jeffries that wasn't possible for the county because you guys couldn't deal with it until you had this meeting today. And so before you is basically a letter outlining that, outlining sort of the county's natural resources policy, and ultimately rejecting the resolution proposed by the forest because, again, it still does not meet the stated purpose and needs of the Mill Creek Vegetation Management Plan. It completely accepts the environmental community's objections to remove all commercial logging and thinning within the riparian habitat areas and the roadless areas. The environmental community's definition of roadless areas in Mill Creek exceeds the definition of the forest's definition of roadless areas. So the only thing that the resolution addressed within the county's objection is that they were going to pull the helicopter logging from the analysis because the county and others argued that helicopter logging isn't economically feasible in Eastern Oregon and it shouldn't even have been included in the analysis. And Shane agreed that, yep, that was correct. Well, that was helicopter accepting that and then excluding thousands of acres of habitat from treatment is kind of like, well, we gave you a little carrot and we give them the other big carrot. And we just think that there's opportunities to do a lot more stuff in Mill Creek. This is a one-time sort of entry in the opportunity for the next 20 some odd years. Forest health issues continue to be a concern in that area. And this is kind of seen as a one-time opportunity to really get in there and treat that. So hopefully by rejecting the resolution that's being proposed, the county and others will have opportunities to further negotiate some treatment opportunities in Mill Creek and get closer to what needs to be done.
Great, thank you.
I would hope with Oregon on Fire, that would prompt a little bit more desire to go in and start doing this, because as Jerry Brummer said on the field trip we went on, the difference between me and the other guys is I like my forests green and you don't care if they're black. I thought that was a very eloquent statement. And I'm hoping that I just got back and I've been reading all the AFRC stuff, and every time they come up with a plan, it's stopped. And here we are. Yeah. On fires. So
yeah.
Yes, I move to approve this letter to Shane Jeffries, Forest Supervisor, for objection resolution offer letter for Mill Creek Vegetation Management Project.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Tim.
So if possible, can that be emailed this afternoon to Shane's? That's kind of was my promise to him, that we'd get it as
Yeah, as soon as
ASAP.
we get it signed. Well, maybe. We don't have internet in a lot of the buildings.
We can hand deliver it to him.
We can hand deliver it to him.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Katie?
Morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
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 All right, I have an annual update for the Crook County Community Health Advisory Council.
Eric, would you just move? Perfect. Thank you.
I'll
Okay.
just speak a little more aggressively.
Okay, but I can see you now and that helps a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
All right, so Katie Plum, Health and Human Services Director for the county. I'm providing an update on the Community Health Advisory Council that I chair. This is the first annual update we've provided since reconvening the council. And so I'll give some updates that actually span a time frame a little longer than a year. The purpose of the Health Advisory Council is rooted in assessment and planning related to health-related issues in Crook County. That includes behavioral health and physical health. The group also is charged with promotion, advocacy, and education work related to those topics. We have in our bylaws room for 10 to 15 appointed members. We currently have 8 appointed members, although when Seth and I are formally appointed, we'll be at the 10 mark, which does meet our bylaws requirement. And we are still actively recruiting for some key representation to round out that, at least a little closer to that 15 number in membership. Our current members represent parents, senior citizens, law enforcement, healthcare, the LGBTQ plus community, and behavioral health. And most of those people wear multiple hats and have multiple connections in the community that they bring to the work of the council. Additionally, our meetings are open to the public. And so oftentimes we'll have guest presenters or folks who can attend not regularly in an appointed role, but who bring their expertise to the group and to the conversations and work of the council without being an appointed member, which is a valuable thing, I think, to have those members or those community members and partners attend meetings, even if they're not able to be in an appointed role. We're currently meeting every other month, so 6 times a year, and are typically hosted by the hospital, St. Charles, and or Best Care will host us as well, which is excellent and appreciated. And we also have staff members from public health and Best Care attend those meetings so that they can provide updates and answer questions for appointed members when they're working on projects or making decisions. Early on in 2023, when we first reconvened, a lot of the work that we did was in establishing norms for the group and setting goals. So there was a lot of assessment work that happened during the first few months that we were meeting. Most people do not know the full breadth of services that are offered by a community mental health program or public health. And this advisory council provides support and advice to both of those entities. So a lot of level setting continues to happen. I think Eric just looked through a 136-page contract for public health, and the mental health contract is at least as long. So there's a lot of education work happening with our appointed members and anyone who's attending those meetings to have a general understanding of what is expected and required of those entities. So that's been a fairly heavy lift. And then hearing from those entities to know what challenges are being experienced in offering those services. So our 3 goals for our 2023 to 2026 work plan are around staffing. It is a challenge to secure and maintain a quality health workforce in the county. And so we've dug into that topic of staffing in depth and we've teased out several areas of concern and space where we can support. One is the need for childcare for working families, housing, and staff burnout is an additional issue that's been identified. The majority of our efforts have been around the childcare space. So we've done an assessment of needs and opportunities that exist within the community to provide affordable childcare and to have it accessible to working families. And are working, this work plan goes through 2026. So it's definitely a long game in how the individuals who are appointed and who else we can partner with to support that work, not just in the health space, but across the community, knowing that it's a need. The housing and staff burnout are areas that we haven't fully tackled, but we have some action items around those issues that we continue to touch on and work towards. Our second goal is around health system coordination, specifically to support care coordination at the staff level and then transitions of clients between the physical health space, so our emergency rooms, our primary care spaces, and behavioral health treatment resources. That is also including our law enforcement space with, deflection. We've had that conversation in this advisory council, as well as working with jail medical staff to ensure that transitions between those spaces are as coordinated as possible. A lot of that work already happens, and so the advisory council is mostly hearing from people who are already doing that coordination and then identifying ways that maybe they can support or advocate for that. Knowing that staffing is an issue and staff turnover affects that coordination, a lot of our work has been around identifying ways that we can create systems that aren't reliant on individual people. Our third goal is around providing accountability for our contracted community mental health program. So that's one of the responsibilities that this council has that I don't think necessarily we choose to prioritize that on our own, even though it is very important. And I think once we talked about what accountability looks like, people are more on board. Monitoring of data is not the most exciting thing to do on a volunteer board, but we're recognizing how incredibly important it is in order to be able to provide support to Best Care as our community mental health program. What that has looked like so far is making sure that all of our appointed members know what it is that we're monitoring. So I mentioned the contract and knowing what is required of a CMHP to provide in a community and what are the metrics and parameters around each service. So we get a presentation from Best Care at each meeting around a particular service element so that all of our members and whoever's attending the meeting has a better understanding of what those services are required to entail, and also identifying challenges in implementing those services so that we can help troubleshoot or problem solve if needed. We also participated in an Oregon Health Authority site visit of Best Care a couple months ago. And so part of our accountability work is to not only participate in that site visit, but review the report that comes from it. So it usually takes a few months for us to hear back from Oregon Health Authority on the results of that site visit, but then our council will review those either findings or results or recommendations, and then be a support to Best Care as they respond to that. An additional item that the council is working on right now is supporting looking into how best to invest the opioid settlement funds. And so there's a lot of dialogue right now and work happening in assessment and partnership to identify how best to invest those funds. And then we would be bringing that back to you once recommendations have been made. I would like to take time to recognize the people that are serving on this council. We have some really dedicated and talented professionals from the community and both in partner organizations and just representing the community that uses these services. And so their time and the expertise that they bring into the room is really valuable. I'll take any questions if y'all have them.
Well, first of all, Katie, I'd like to thank you for postponing this presentation so I could go play. It was a very, very good presentation and very informative, and I'm very glad I got to be here to hear it. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it.
Right. See Kathy here. Is she on the?
I wasn't sure if she was or
I have not been asked to present. I was anticipating that. So if Kathy's not here, I can speak to at least some of this. Back in March, the commissioners made the decision to enroll the deputy district attorneys into Oregon PERS. The Oregon PERS has asked the county to send them an order or resolution to memorialize that. So what you have in front of you is an order to do so. It makes a number of findings of facts. It would include, for instance, the type of enrollment that the deputy DBAs would be added into, which is the Oregon Public Service Retirement Plan OPSR, rather than tier 1 or tier 2, except to the extent that there is somebody who by law would need to be enrolled as a tier 1 or tier 2 member. It would also make the findings regarding the current and previous fiscal year's contribution to what's called the IAP. By law, that is a contribution that the employees are required to make, but also by law, an employer can choose to make that contribution. It's my understanding that for the period of January 1, 2024 through June 30, 2024, and for the current fiscal year, that the county is planning on making that 6% contribution. If that ever changes in the future, the order would memorialize that in some other document. It also makes reference to a previously adopted order and resolution. This regards the use of unused sick leave for a qualified PERS member's retirement. This order states that the deputy district attorneys may participate in that program, same terms and conditions as any other county otherwise qualified to participate. Unless you have any questions, I think this has been reviewed by the finance office, by the human resources office, and by Carrie Hathorn in the district attorney's office.
No, I know we talked about this quite a bit, so.
One of the things we were worried about was the entire county going into PERS, but you have in here on section 4 is a specific intent. So is that do you think that will be a protection for us down the road?
It helps.
Okay.
This is to make it clear that Board of Commissioners is not intending to add anyone other than the deputy district attorneys.
Okay.
PERS has made certain representations to the county, which you will recall.
Mm-hmm.
This order would make it clear that the county is acting in reliance on those representations. You've had previous conversations as to how reliable those representations may be. But for right now, the intention of this, as I understand it, is simply to add the deputy district attorneys. And this is to make it clear, by doing so, the county does not intend to create a backdoor for anyone else.
Okay. Thank you for your clarification, Eric.
Right, any discussion? Let's entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve order number 2024-36.
I'm not going to second that, and my vote will be a nay.
Second,
Okay,
any discussion?
nope,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Anybody have any public comments before we, or, oh, sorry, Will, you have any dates?
Good morning, Commissioners. Just a couple of quick comments. First, I want to quickly acknowledge Kim Fox from the Health Department and her team for inviting me to a one of their regular check-ins. It was I felt like it was really close to my face, so
Can you hear him, Doc?
He
I'll
can't
get
hear
I'll
you
get close. I'll
You can't hear you in the background.
Sorry, Will.
Just quickly again, just wanted to acknowledge Kim Fox and her team for inviting me to one of their regular check-ins. It was a great opportunity for me to learn more about the important services that the health department provides our community, and I really appreciated that opportunity. Also, just quickly, this is just kind of an example of the teamwork we see here at the county on a regular basis, but we received a friendly note from the city about one of the properties the county owns needing some attention. John Eisler and the team at facilities stopped what they were doing and helped resolve that problem before it became a problem. So really appreciated everybody stepping up to help with that. But that's just an example of the teamwork we see around here on a daily basis. Wanted to acknowledge that. One final comment. So we've talked about this in the past. The wildfire risk map is back for the public to view. This is more a comment directed at the public than the board, because I know I've had these conversations with you, but the draft map is available for the public to view on the Department of Forestry's website. It's important for us to receive any feedback from the public, any concerns they have about how their properties are mapped. It's important for us to receive that now so that we can incorporate it into any comments we submit either at the upcoming public hearings that are scheduled later this month and at the beginning of August, or I believe we'll have one more opportunity through AOC to provide some additional comments as a county. So this is just kind of an ask of the public to provide any comments or concerns they have about that map. I'd like to work with Sarah to maybe put something on our website to push that draft map out to the public, so they don't have to go searching on the Department of Forestry's website.
I'm wondering if we should put it in the press also. I mean, because I didn't like some of the answers back to the comments that we gave, especially a parcel here, a parcel there, and the effects. So should we not just do our website, but also do maybe a press release or some, I mean, I'm not sure. But it's
Yeah,
important.
Yeah, I think that's great.
It's important people know, because this is gonna, what it's really gonna affect is your insurance. And it may get to where you have this on your property and you're uninsurable.
Yeah, the state has tried to explain that this map should not be used by insurance companies for assessing risk.
Oh,
But
sure.
yeah.
Oh, sure.
So, but I think a press release is a great idea. I do want to get it out there. I want to hear from folks in Crook County so that we are capturing as many of the concerns as possible. We as staff can look at a map, but we don't know the landscape as well as property owners know the landscape. They can speak better to the vegetation and the topography of their property than we can by just looking at a map. So it's really important that we do hear back from the folks who are impacted by this map. So a press release would be great. I think it'd be helpful.
I'm even wondering if we do roundup. I don't know, anything that people read. Okay, perfect.
Well,
Okay,
and Will and I have been working with AOC
okay.
to make sure we don't miss any opportunities to push back on this. And so I think the more data we have from the public, the better it is.
Well, it's stronger.
It just will give us a stronger argument. Go over there and talk.
Perfect.
Yeah, I guess still the public comment at the end. I guess we can jump in there. What do you need, Tim?
I just wonder in relationship to that public release, it's my understanding that ODF is going to schedule public meetings one more time, particularly for those, once they release the map, that are going to be in this high-risk buoy area. And if they really are gonna have, like, I just wonder if those dates, locations, if there was some way of knowing.
Make sure to get those in
Yeah.
before we put out the article.
Yeah, we just need to get the word out, and that would be great to have the dates and all of that too.
They do have public hearings scheduled. I think they have 4 of them scheduled.
Perfect.
My understanding based on what ODF sent out is they are all Zoom meetings, so I don't know that there's going to be any in-person meetings for those hearings. But we do have those 4 dates, and we can include those in the.
That's convenient that there's Zoom meetings, huh? No one can yell.
At least not uncontrolled yelling.
Yeah, that's kind of a,
Or even.
kind of a
heard.
pop out. Anyway, but yeah, as much as we can get it out, because people, like I say, and it really concerned me on the parcels that we have to pick a line. They're not really taking into effect, the type of parcel, and it's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, just as an example, there are several parcels in Brasada Ranch that for all intents and purposes are exactly like their neighbors, and they are classified differently. So it's those types of situations we need to be aware of so we can think out and hopefully convince the powers that be that the map needs to be corrected.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything, Susie?
No, no, thank you,
No.
Will, for doing the work on this.
I just got some, I've been working with the senior center. They're having some financial issues. I've been working with the senior center and they're having some financial issues. And if they have great financial issues, it might end up as the county managing it because of past decisions by past elected officials. So we got to make sure that we don't end up in charge of that. So I've been working with Facebook and a couple different organizations to bring some money in. Nothing's totally fixed yet, but I think we might have some improvements going on and some potential financial monies coming in there to kind of fix that problem. So to be continued.
Great.
That's all I got. Anything from the public? Online? Okay, we will now go into executive session. The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session under ORS 192-660D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations, and ORS 192-660. Are you going to want to stick around? So you are not allowed at the labor, but you're welcome. Would you want to just sit in the lobby and we can come grab you for the next one? Yeah.
Sorry, still add in the 2H.
Yes,
Seth, can you read it in 2H as well?
Okay.
yes. I forgot that folder, but it was not what it was anticipated to be.
ORS 192-660-2E for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. We'll also go into 192-660-2H. I assume for legal,
Yeah, possible litigation, I guess.
possible litigations.
It's water contam.
Oh, okay. Where at?
Same place.
Representatives in the news media designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session, except for in the case of the 192-660D. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session is previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now leave executive session under ORS 192-660D to conduct deliberations by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. We'll also leave ORS 192-660-2E for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. We'll also leave 192.660-2H for legal matters. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive sessions except for 1926602D, the labor negotiations. All other members of the audience are last to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session is previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we'll return to open session and welcome the audience back in the room. Hey, do we have any motions?
Yes. Could you direct us as to how to do this motion, please?
So regarding the subject matter in 2E, that I think I heard is a motion to direct the county's realtor of record to prepare the offer documents and to authorize execution outside of, Board of Commissioners.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then do we have any other?
The motion in 2H.
All right, we will,
So for 2D, what I think I heard is a motion to direct staff to prepare the response as discussed in the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anything else?
No,
Meeting adjourned.
I did shut down my computer and I went